Hey everyone, and welcome to our latest roundtable. You may notice something different. We don't have webcams this time. Some people in the community don't have webcams or don't want to have them on, and I still want to get these people on the stream, so we're going without webcams. I did
We
the
like to improvise and be difficult.
Yep. And then, speaking of improvising, last minute I set up those little boxes in the top corners that should light up when people are talking, so you can actually tell who is saying something.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. So yeah, without further ado, I guess let's go ahead and hop into some of the topics. I guess the first thing is introductions. So,
Well, hello everyone. My name is King Brandy, Brandon. I go by Brandy. I stream multiple games, and I like to help out in the community. I like to interact with others, and I'm very excited to be here.
yep, and Panda in the chat. Yes, this will be on YouTube. I'll upload it later this
I
evening.
love you
or
too,
tomorrow.
Claire.
All right, Plasma, you want to introduce yourself?
Indeed. Hello, my name is Plasma. As a lot of you know, part of Raw Gamers organisation, and play Gears of War daily. I go by the nicknames Plaz, UK's finest if you want. You know, that doesn't bother
Hot
me.
stuff. All that lovely jubbly.
Yeah, short and sweet for me.
Yeah, Jumpers. What about you?
Hello, my name's Jumpers. I'm a games YouTuber. I make machinima, and I've been playing Halo recently with King Gabs.
Playing Halo? Nice. I've been
Back into Halo.
playing Sniper Elite, and I guess I've also been recently booted up some Remnant from the Ashes and been playing some co-op on that. And then, logging into Gears, get my dailies and stuff, waiting for some new content to really bring me back to playing Gears regularly again.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that one drop that just reels me back in. That's all I'm looking forward to.
Yep, Op 6 definitely wasn't that. Let's hope the mid-drop or Op 7 can bring us in. Right.
Only one can pray.
Yeah. So today, it's going to be a pretty lore-heavy stream. I know we often focus on Horde or Escape or something, or recently there's been a lot of multiplayer-based streams. Today's going to be a lot of lore-type stuff. And the first topic we have listed here are what-if scenarios. And by that I mean we can go back to some of the story things that happened, and like what if Dom didn't die, and we can talk about what could happen in the campaign in those types of scenarios. And then also, I've seen some what if scenario type things pitched for characters, or I guess not really weapon skins, but mainly character skins as well. As like, what if I'll just use Dom didn't die again. What if Dom didn't die? What would Dom look like now if we got a new character skin?
I think he would have tried to reintegrate back into society, back with a family, perhaps living with Marcus, perhaps living with Sam and Bird, as they were close to him as well.
You don't think he would have remarried though, right?
No. After, I have to agree with Jumpers. After Gears 2's tragic event, I don't think he could bring himself to remarry. I feel like he would internally feel it's a betrayal to Maria and her memory.
Yeah. What do you think he would be doing right now? Like you said, integrating with some family, maybe living on the Phoenix estate or the Stroud estate or whatever. You think he would be manning the gardens?
He'd be farmer for sure.
Those goddamn tomatoes. I do believe he'd be a farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seemed very happy with it.
Yeah, I wonder how long he would have kept going with growing out the beard and kind of being that sort of depressed type state that we saw him a lot in Gears 3. I wonder how long it would have taken him to get over that.
I feel like when you go, I'll go after.
I feel like he would have actually got a bit happier in the future. I wouldn't think he'd stay depressed forever. I think he would have settled nice with Marcus Anya. So,
yeah. Brandy, what were you
Yeah,
going to say about
I feel he would definitely still be depressed, not as suicidal as he was in Gears 3, but I feel like the turning point for Dom would be seeing JD being born. He would have something to live and fight for, as he's now going to be classed as an uncle. He's got someone who represents his children and he can actually have a second chance with.
Yeah, he'd sort of be like JD's second father. I mean, he'd be his uncle basically, but
Yeah,
really, essentially, a second father to him. Yeah, I
yeah,
never
he
really
would
thought
fill
of
in
the
what Marcus
interactions they
couldn't.
would have. What about
Yeah.
the cog? Like Marcus hates the cog. You think?
Yeah.
You think the cog's ruined for Dom as well?
Well, what we know what the cog did to Marcus, kidnapped his father, hid him away, and couldn't find him for 25 years. But what has the cog done to Dominic?
I guess we, as of Gears 5, we know that they did create the Locust too.
Yeah.
But I mean, that
Yeah.
was a pretty indirect thing. I just don't. Dom was really close to Marcus, and I wonder if Marcus would have tainted Dom's view of the cog.
I mean,
I have no idea actually. This I'm stumped on this one.
it's not really. I don't know if this is really anything COG related, but Dom had a brother called Carlos,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
obviously he died while on. I think it was on a mission with Marcus and Dom.
Yeah.
So that Marcus and Dom would get out alive. So, he kind of sacrificed his life. And
Yeah.
don't really know if it's not really anything to do with the COG. I guess when you sign up, you sign your life away as well. But
I feel like Dom would stay with the cog, go against Marcus's wishes because he would want to honor his brother who died for the cog, who sacrificed himself. That could be an aspect, or he could just entirely hate the cog for taking away his brother and blame them for it afterwards. A lot of ways it could go.
yeah, it's always a possibility. I think it would be more along the lines of it would more depend on what Marcus did. Like, and obviously in Gears 4 and stuff, he kind of like drifted away from the cog because he didn't like, the way it was. Obviously JD, he left the cog, he was on the run
Right.
from the cog. So, I don't think that would have sat well Dom either.
Yeah.
It would have probably went bored down to because Dom, JD not being a part of the cog. They would just kind of drifted away, really.
Yeah. Would Dominic have turned in JD and Dell, or would he have gone astray with them?
Gone astray.
Yeah, from the cog. Man,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, because he'd see JD as his own son, as well as Dell, like Marcus does, and I think he'd fight for them as much as he possibly could.
Yeah. So another what if thing that I forget, one of you guys mentioned this in our Discord chat before, and that was, I think it was, what if Kim was shot instead of
Yes.
instead of Anthony in Gears 1? So it's
Yes.
one that would make it so that Anthony didn't die right then, but then the other thing is you wouldn't have that impact of Rom then killing Kim right after that.
No, instead it would be Anthony being killed, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know if Anthony would be the one getting killed by Rom.
Oh,
Because I think Kim was sort of taking up that leadership role, and I guess based on Rom's shadow, Rom sort of recognized Kim from that.
yeah, because Rom and Kim have that history.
Yeah, I don't know if Anthony would have been in the same position as Kim in order to get stabbed by Rom like that. So the way I thought of it was more of a, okay, what if Kim still died? I mean, he either dies by getting stabbed by Rom or he dies by getting shot by the sniper. But
Yeah,
then what if Anthony lived, I guess? What would that have
Ooh, I like
changed?
that. Yeah. So, so let's say Kim's shot by the sniper. The first predicament is the leader's dead. Would we still have Marcus as the sergeant? Would Anthony be the sergeant as he was the longest in the crew? Would it be Dom?
So I don't think it would be Dom. I feel like Marcus would probably step up again just because that was his natural attitude, but at the same time, I don't feel like we had that much character development for Anthony. It's hard
Yeah.
to say what his character would have done in that situation.
What if
I feel like you go on, jumpers.
what if neither of them die? Let's say the sniper was aimed at Anthony, but the bullet didn't connect to the head. So we still had that scene with Min getting killed by Ram, but Anthony had a little bit of development onwards.
Yeah, he could like develop a new perspective. He could.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's good. I like that one.
Yeah, and I feel so. One, it would have built the character up a little bit. We don't really have too much character development. I wonder what that would do for fans, because I feel one of the reasons some of the characters connect with the Carmines is that their character development's not as deep as some of the other people, and it's easier for them to connect to that character. Being when there's not much there, it's easier to connect sometimes.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, would Benjamin have enlisted? Or I guess Benjamin wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It's not like he really volunteered. I guess he volunteered, but they were sort of taking everybody at that point. I don't know if Benjamin would have been as excited or willing to join up if Anthony hadn't died.
Yeah, if Anthony had lived, bullet bounced off his helmet. Anthony's obviously going to be shit scared for the rest of the mission, probably even traumatized.
But we had the Berserker scene afterwards, so that would have definitely terrified him.
Well, and I was thinking about just thinking further along in the campaign. Just imagine if Anthony lived and they had that extra squad member. What else could they have done with that extra squad member to help turn the tides for them?
I feel like Anthony could have gone with Cole and Bird, and they could have developed him into like being very resourceful and found the sewers instead of Cole and Bird accidentally stumbling on it. Or maybe he's a very half-assed person and he found them by accident.
Yeah.
One that kind of popped on my mind, you guys were talking about if Anthony went with like Baird and Cole. What if Anya or Hoffman decided to go with Marcus, Kim, and Dom to the House of Sovereigns? And
Anthony was pulled back.
Would either of them been shot?
I don't feel like Anya would have gone, just because at that point she was still the person in the headset. She wasn't really battle hardened yet. She wasn't ready to go out in the field. Hoffman. What if
Hoffman showed up, or maybe even Prescott, because Prescott was he was a very tough man who wanted to win. So I feel if needed, he would have stepped in as well. But so would have Hoffman. And what if we got more of Prescott fighting instead of him just showing up and then getting his rib crushed? Or whatever?
I wonder, so if Hoffman had joined the squad going in Gears 1, after Kim died, well, I guess Kim wouldn't even have been in the lead then, because it would have been Hoffman leading things.
Hoffman. I feel like Hoffman would have ran through the fire to get Kim out. Maybe Hoffman's captured by Rom.
Yeah, I just wonder what the rest of the story would have played out like if Marcus wasn't in charge and you had Hoffman in charge.
Yeah.
About Hoffman being captured, it would have turned into a rescue mission probably.
Yeah, if Hoffman got captured, that would definitely be a rescue mission.
I feel with Hoffman and Prescott's relationship in Gears 1 and 2, they're like brothers, and I feel Prescott he'd lose it. He'd send everyone to go and get Hoffman back.
Yeah. So here's a what if scenario that I don't think I've ever seen anyone really discuss, and that is, what if Adam Phoenix did find a cure for lambency early on and cured the Locusts of lambency so that they were able to basically live in peace underground?
I don't think it would have ended well.
Like,
I don't think the Locust War would have been as serious as it was if Adam Phoenix managed to find a counteract for the lambency, like to not affect the local.
Yeah, like they wouldn't have been forced out. Yeah, the Locusts wouldn't have been forced out, but would they eventually want to emerge and fight?
Let's break this down. Let's put it into 3. Adam finds a cure before the war. Adam finds a cure halfway through the war, and Adam finds a cure on V-Day. First off, what would happen if the cure was made before it completely happened? Would the Locusts stay there forever? Would they try peace? Would they still attack?
At first, I think they'd find peace, but then they get a bit curious and whatnot, and eventually invade.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. Yeah. I don't think anyone wants to stay in the ground forever.
I agree that there would be peace for a while and then eventually probably invade. I mean, it sucks to say, but it's almost like it's human nature to want to
Sarah
expand.
Is a war-born planet.
And it's peace is one thing, but then there are so many things that go wrong to cause that to unfold or like unravel, and all it takes is one bad thing to happen to make the other side mad, and you can cause that war, and it will start to snowball. Peace is a hard thing to maintain. It can start to snowball into war really quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. Would Adam have alerted Prescott to the threat that is now living and thriving underground?
I think he probably would have.
Yeah.
It would I think it would lead to Prescott I think he would have gotten a bit impatient over the years and maybe, I don't know, sent the cog down on the grind lifts and maybe started something up with the Locust eventually. And again, that would be another reason to provoke another war or something.
Yeah, because it feels like everywhere we turn on planet Sera, there's always going to be a war. The Pendulum Wars, the Grey War, Swarm War, Locust War.
Yeah. So then, Brandy, the next category that you had was what if a cure was developed, let's just call it
halfway
the Gears
through the
2
war.
Timeframe or something.
Yeah. Operation Hollow Storm. Instead of attacking, it's giving a cure.
Vaccines.
Adam, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Come get your Lambent vaccine over here, people. Don't shoot me, please. I'm trying to help you. Would the war have carried on, or would it have stopped?
I think that's a really interesting scenario, because you're going to have some people let's help them cure them in this war, but at that point you also have so many people dead and kidnapped by that time that you're going to have a lot of the humans. A lot of the humans aren't going to want to settle. They're going to want revenge for their loved ones that they've lost.
And that would probably lead to a UIR revolt, saying Cogs are cowards. They start up Locust War again. Maybe Stranded. They'd probably take it into their own hands.
Yeah. I could definitely see it fracturing the human side into multiple groups. One side that wants nothing to do with the Locusts, and maybe even keep fighting, and then the other side that's trying to help them.
It's like a bunch of factions.
Yeah.
Maybe even factions on the Locust side. Some still want to fight, and some want the cure, you know?
Yeah,
Like friendly
some
locusts.
rejecting the help of humans, some accepting it.
That'll be. It's like, oh, that's a weird scenario because we've never seen a friendly locust before.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, like, what if the the locust had some kind of allegiance with the cog to try and create a counteract to the lambent infection that affects all organisms on Sarah, and like that would be, I think that would be quite interesting, like a cog and locust allegiance to try and deal with a lambent threat. Which would also there was another one I thought of, like what if the locust and the cog had found peace and the locust stayed underground. And if you guys remember, in Gears 2, we kind of got the gist of the lambent fighting the locust. So would the war between the lambent and the locust progress onto, like, would it come out from the hollow and to the surface, also causing a reaction for the cog to get involved and put a stop to it?
It's just there's so many possibilities because you're in the middle of a war. So this is where the big choices take time, take trouble. Would Prescott settle for peace? Would he carry on the war?
Yeah,
I don't
What
think
would
Prescott
happen?
would settle for peace.
No, I feel like he'd feel his reputation's ruined if he
Hmm.
settled for something less than revenge for all billions of lives lost.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
And then the last one, what if V-Day wasn't a mass extinction instead of a mass cure? Would it still be V-Day?
At that point, I honestly, at that point, if it was a mass cure, I feel like humanity would be gone.
Yeah.
Like they would have this cure. The locusts realize we outnumber the crap out of them. Let's just take over this planet.
Yeah. we're not even on the land anymore. We have to live in the water.
Yeah, like humanity was so thin at that point that I feel the locusts would have just taken over.
Yeah, as soon as the Locusts have that cure, they're wiping out the humans and they're taking on the land themselves.
Yeah, that would be, especially like if Ram, Scourge, Karn, and what's the name of the other guy, the huge one?
Shrek.
That's the one. Like, what if those guys were involved in this Locust v Lambent shenanigans as well, and joined, obviously, wiping out the last remaining of the humanity?
Yeah.
Like there's things like that. There's so much ways it can play
There's
out.
so many ways it can go wrong, so many ways it can end, start another war.
Yeah.
But what about the very small chance of just the cog and the locust forming together in peace to wipe out the lambent?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
that could be.
I could see that.
Yeah, it could definitely happen if Prescott had kind of did something similar, got Adam Phoenix to create like uh a what do you call it, a counteract to not harm the locust.
Yeah.
Which would also mean that there wouldn't be, like, would there be swarm? Like if Adam Phoenix's counter bomb didn't affect Locust, then would the Locust have stayed the same and just went back underground, there wouldn't be need for the swarm,
I think if they went, because the Locusts, they evolved by the lambent. With the cure, they're now immune to lambency, like a corpse would be. So if they went back underground, I think they would evolve anyway into the swarm, but a much stronger version, as they're still able-bodied and still very much angry.
Yeah, and a strong army faction too. So,
Exactly.
like, it would also, if Ram, Scourge, Shrak, and Karn were still around then too, and Mira, of course, like, I know she was human, so she probably wouldn't have been affected by it unless she had infected cells. Would they have changed the Locust into a stronger variant of the Swarm? Like, what would they look like? Like, it'd be crazy.
Yeah. It's a fun thing to think about.
Yeah, it is, and it's interesting that you almost never see people talking about those what ifs, and especially not the like what ifs there was a cure. That's like a really rare one.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
and
there would have been peace for a little while, then
yeah.
back to war.
So I'd say keep that in mind, the whole what if scenario, and also if anyone in the chat has a what if scenario they want to see discussed, let us know. Let's move on to the next topic, and we can cycle back to a few what ifs later if you think of any more.
That sounds like a perfect plan.
The next topic I had here was the Gears novels. So
Ooh,
we
I like these.
had the original, was it 5 by Karen Travis?
Yes, we have Asphalt Fields, the Slab,
Sinta's Remnant,
Anvil Gate, Sinto's Remnant, and the last one,
Coalition's End.
Coalition's End, yes.
Yep. So we have those 5 books. Then we have Ascension and Bloodlines by
and
the guy's name Michael Huff.
I think that sounds about right. And we've got the new one coming out, Aethera Rising.
Yeah. So before getting into Aethera Rising, the original 5 versus the two most recent ones. Which did you prefer? And why, I guess. The why is an important part.
So I love Bloodlines and Ascendants, and to make it fair, because obviously the old ones are better, because it's a 5-on-2. But if I was to choose my favourite ones from the old ones, my 2 favourites, I would have to go with the Slab and Anvil Gate. So
Your mic just cut out.
Yep.
oh,
You there? Alright. Until
someone else go.
Yeah, so me personally, I much prefer the original ones, and I'm right there with them. The Slab was my favorite of the original ones. I actually don't remember exactly what happened in all of the other, like what happened in which book. It all sort of blurs together to me for the most part as like a cohesive story. Other than the Slab, I specifically remember a lot of the stuff in the Slab, and I thought that was a great book. I found the books difficult to start reading. I'm not a big reader, so I'll throw that out there, but I found them difficult to start, but once I got into them, they were really entertaining. The new books I found very easy to read, but it was almost like a play-by-play of a campaign chapter or an act in the campaign, and I couldn't help but just, one, I got a little bored of reading a play-by-play, but I also couldn't shake the thought of, man, why aren't we just playing this? This isn't really like expanding the lore too much. This is just a play-by-play of something that I could be playing as a DLC right now.
Yeah. To comment on Chaps is it feels like a campaign. Ascendants, when they're going through the field, going through the mine and all that, once again, that just feels like a DLC chapter. Quick, 10-minute.
Yeah. The Bloodlines was a lot better than Ascendance.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the fact that they actually explored some of the it was backstory, I guess. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
let's see. The others of you, which ones did you like best?
I didn't read any.
Why not, man?
Okay.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm not a big reader myself. I'm more of a comic guy. But I
like
did,
the comics.
I did watch lore videos on some of them. The Slab, from what I've heard, is actually really good. I've not read too much on the new books because I'm not really interested in the Swarm, and I'm not really interested in the new story right now that we have. But I did like how it connected Kate's dad a bit.
Yes, that was good.
But apart from that, I don't have much to say really.
Yeah. I will say I probably read one book a year or something like that. I'm not a big reader, but I do recommend the Gears books to anybody who wants to learn more about the lore.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely recommend the Slab and Anvil game, which they both compare very well. Bloodlines can be compared to the Slab. It's for the Slab because that's the older one. Not a lot of people would have read that one. I'll explain that one. The Slab basically just dives into Marcus's time in prison, and from it we can picture all the horrible things: his scar, the dogs, the guards, the corruption. And
Yeah, that
compared
sounds
to
cool.
Bloodlines, it feels a lot more well executed and interesting to read. Now, comparing Anvil Gate to Ascendance, Anvil Gate tells us the story of how we defend Hoffman's home, how we got to it, how we recovered it, how we took it. Whereas Ascendance is just going home to somewhere that we already know a lot about because we robbed it in the first game of the new trilogy. So that wasn't really as interesting, and I didn't really feel as inclined to carry on. And with that, I would definitely have to say that the old 5 books definitely outweigh the new 2 books, and I would highly recommend the old 5.
Yeah. And then I personally am. So when the Slab was announced, I was super hyped for that because I wanted to learn about what happened with the Slab. The latest 2 books I was somewhat interested in, but I don't think I even pre-ordered them, because I wasn't crazy interested. The Saphira Rising one, I'm pretty excited for, because it's the one right after Gears 3, and it's starting to fill in that gap between Gears 3 and Gears 4. It talks about how the Locusts are gone, there's still some rumors of them, but it seems like humanity is sort of fractured a little bit, and there's some confrontations going on between the factions, maybe. I'm really looking forward to sort of the diplomacy and seeing these different government styles grow from nothing, and having the 2 opposing sides be able to talk to each other. It's not like 2 established sides that hate each other and are going to war. It's one humanity that is slowly dividing and fracturing, and I'm hoping that we get some cool interactions between the different factions that form.
Yeah, that
That sounds really interesting.
I hope they deliver on it though. That
Mm.
this book better be good, or I'm gonna be pretty disappointed.
Yeah, I think we all.
Plasma, have you read the one? Have you read the novels?
I have not. I still need to get a hold of them.
Do it, man.
They're really good.
But in terms of like Gears of War story and things like that, I know a lot of people aren't really that interested in the Swarm compared to the Locust, but there's still a lot of the Locust creatures that we still haven't saw, whether Adam Phoenix's bomb killed them off completely, or if if they're part like of the Swarm as well, and what did they kind of like change into, you know? So hopefully Gear 6 and further games or spin-offs or something, I don't know, tells us a little bit about, like, because we haven't seen Corpsers, we don't know if they are completely dead or if they've been mutated or whatever it is that happened to them with the change.
Yeah,
You know,
that. I got something to say about this when Plasma's done.
Yeah, go for it.
So,
no, you go ahead.
as Plasma was saying, the corpses, they aren't Locust. They're natural to Planet Zera. So, realistically, most of them should have survived, as not all of them were used with lambency.
Well, I mean, the locusts weren't infused with the lambent cells because they were locusts. They were infused because they were living underground near all
Oh
the
yeah,
emulsion, right? So
yeah,
so the creatures like the corpsers that seem like they were naturally underground creatures were probably exposed to a lot of emulsion. And I just
yeah.
realized we never saw lambent. Did we ever see a lambent corpser?
We saw one coming out of the emulsion, and I think it was Gears UE, and like, well, Gears 1, Gears UE.
Yeah, like, so we knocked that one back. It came down from the ceiling, and we knocked it back into the emulsion, and then it crawled back out, trying to grab us. But as far as like an actual lambent one, like explodes.
Isn't it one of Nexus?
Yeah, Nexus. I was about to mention Nexus. But it definitely looks lambentified more so than Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
Most likely is one somewhere.
Yeah, like what would happen? Would it grow more legs? Would it have more eyes?
Yeah, I mean, who knows what it could have been like. You saw in Gao 2 when like the Swarm Act literally took a fucking footstep. Sorry for swearing. Into the emulsion, and it mutated into fucking all sorts of things like tentacles and all this kind of shit. So it's pretty crazy, to be honest with you. What would have happened if, like, say for example, if the Cantuses were fully exposed to the emulsion? Would they just die off? Would they mutate? It's crazy. There's a lot.
Yeah,
and
I
always liked the theories that that the Cantus were a different species that have lived underground for years, like before the Locust went down there, and that explains some of the
I like that theory.
And the architecture and stuff. And it seemed like they were able to channel some of the emulsion and use that like as sort of like a buff in their screams, especially with the armored Cantus. You see the glow coming from their mouth. So I always liked the idea that they were a separate species that may have not really been affected by the emulsion very much.
Yes, so in chat, Vikings just brought up you fire Corpser in tactics. That's true.
Was that a lambent Corpser though?
No, but it was heavily infused with lambent because obviously Ukon was working with it, and it was stronger and more. It was quicker.
Interesting.
But it was not completely lambent. But tactics with the mention of it. Thank you, Viking.
Yeah, I wonder.
Also reminded me of the disciples. How did they not change? Because they literally had emulsion running through their veins.
Well, we didn't see the disciples in the later games, and so that could be described in the lore as like, well, the disciples
Yeah.
died off because they were injected the emulsion. I'm wondering if it's sort of like emulsion's a natural thing that's occurring on Sarah, and the corpses are a natural thing that have developed on Sarah. Like they've evolved over the years, and just through evolution, the corpses are maybe immune to the emulsion sickness or lambency, and Ukon. That's why Ukon literally had to like inject them with it to try and get them to change it all.
Yeah, like the Brumac and is
The Brumac
is
seems
the
like
Brumac class?
that seems like it's a natural animal on Sarah, but more of a land animal, because something of that size and stature seems like it would be a land animal that they brought down underground, so it hasn't naturally evolved to become immune to lambency. So it was able
which
to be
would
affected.
explain why something so big would change so quickly. It's
Yeah.
never been around emulsion. So, and stepping into a 5 foot deep puddle of it, that would just be enough to override the entire code of its DNA.
I think there are openings if the coalition wants to like bring back some of these creatures. I mean, some of them that are native from underground, probably not, but there's others that, or some of the ones that were native to underground are ones that probably could be brought back. The ones that weren't native to underground, it might be a bit of a stretch.
I liked that they brought back the leeches because they were introduced in the comics
So
when Dom killed one.
The heart leeches that are in the comics are not the same thing as
are they not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one's like swarmified.
So
my bad.
yeah, there's been some speculation, but I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed that they are not the same thing, and it's not like a swarmified version of them.
Oh, that makes more sense now. As to how they've been alive for 30, 40 years.
So, also, like, they couldn't fly in the comics, right?
You know what? You got a good point there. So, you got a fantastic point.
Jumpers, was it you earlier who was saying one of the reasons you haven't read the new books is you're not a huge fan of the new story right now, right?
Well, I mainly see this as the enemy's fault because they're not that interested, in my opinion. I felt like the Swarm were more terrifying, so I was more hooked to it because I'm a fan of horror things. But the Swarm just don't seem interesting whatsoever, and they're not even like they don't have that same terror factor, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't really care for it.
So I guess the question I have for you then is, a lot of people wanted to see Gears continue. If the story was to continue and they didn't use the Swarm as the enemy, what would you have liked to see? Are you okay with the story that they've gone with? You just would have liked to see the Swarm as a more horrifying, like a scarier type enemy, or what would you have liked to see the Coalition do with the story to continue things after Gears 3?
Well, I really like the idea of how they awoken from the crystals, right?
Yeah.
But from that on, they just seem so dumb. So what I would have thought is they still had that same sort of like that factor of Locust where, they like. I know the Swarm are meant to be brand new, and they don't have like a queen and stuff, so they seem more like wild. But I would have liked to kept that same feeling as an organized army, and their designs don't help because they don't look scary whatsoever. I think everyone agrees that the Locust was like a lot more scary.
Yeah.
And, like the variations of them as well. Like there's no variation of Swarm. It's just the standard drone and stuff. But honestly, I would love for them to become a bit more organized, have an actual impact, because I just don't see the Swarm doing much right now. I know at the end of Gears 5, they cause a lot of destruction, but still, like, I don't see it.
And we've seen a lot of swarm creatures that we've never seen. That
I would like to see more
Kraken
creatures.
looking one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, I feel if they swarmify a Cantus, they just go all out like they did with the Brumac. Because I quite like the Swarmac. I find that design cool. Patches of crystal and blisters.
I'd love to see them bring the Cantus back.
Agreed.
I feel if they just went all out with it, give it just patches of crystals, maybe even mutate it to have another finger. Oh no, just anything different. Just go for it.
Yeah. So one of the topics I had on here is, where do you think things are going? Before we get to that, there's another thing I wanted to add in here. And to start off that topic, I wanted to hit on the choice near the end of the Gears 5 campaign. So let's just go around the room real quick, and who did you save and why?
JD. I wholeheartedly like JD, and I wanted him to die. But I saved JD only because I did not want Marcus to lose everything. That is the only reason JD gets to breathe, is so that Marcus has not lost his wife, his brothers, his father, his mother, and his son.
Plasma, what about you?
I chose to save JD just for the same reason. I really like Marcus. He suffered a hell of a lot through the war and things like that. So I chose JD. Dell, don't get me wrong, I don't really have a problem with Dell. He needs more. We need to know a bit more about him, a backstory, a character build up. Really, it's not all just about telling funny jokes. It's got to be like, for me, he needs to be a more serious Gears of War character, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, he seems very childish, so I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's another reason I don't like the DBs either, is they're so boring to fight. The Swarm, I love the Swarm. I love the addition, them rising back out the crystals. That's a really fucking cool thing. I understand what TC were trying to do in Gears 4. They didn't have a queen. This is them pretty much starting off from scratch again, being, I don't want to say lost, like they're trying to pick up where they once were, but they didn't have a queen. They didn't have, the closest thing in command, I would think, would be the Scions, right? Obviously before they captured Reyna, it would be the Scions that were in charge, or the Speaker, however you want to call them.
Right. Jumper, what about you? Who did you choose?
Well, I chose Dell because I didn't start to like JD. I thought they tried to make him seem like some horrible person. But yeah, another factor of it is he got Lizzie killed, and I'm probably one of the biggest Carmine fans. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted JD to die.
As soon as Jumper saw Lizzie die.
Yeah, exactly. But I like Dell. He was there for most of it. JD only came back in at Act 3. Yeah, I have nothing to say. I know it's sort of bad choosing Dell because you got Marcus losing his son again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like Dell. I feel like Dell's really cool.
I love Dell.
I chose Dell to save.
Oh.
And so actually, my first time playing through, I don't think I was paying too much attention. I think I got distracted at that point or something. And when the thing was up on my screen, I kind of panicked. I didn't know what was going on, and I just moved the thing to the side and chose Dell accidentally. But then I was happy with that choice because I don't think about it as what I want. I think about it as what Kate would have done in that situation. It's because she has JD and Dell as her friends, and then she gets really pissed off at JD, and she goes on this great adventure with Dell, and she learned some pretty big revelations about her life going on this adventure with Dell. And then JD comes back and they say they're sorry and stuff. But it's still, you're either choosing someone who was a really close friend that you then started to hate and they recently came back into your life, or you're choosing your friend who you just went on this great adventure with. And I feel like Kate would have chosen Dell.
Absolutely.
But with our thoughts there about who we chose out there, what do you think is going to happen in Gear 6 in regards to the choice? How are they going to handle it?
I think the most logical thing they could do is also the laziest thing. Put out a poll, give it 2 months, just so everyone's got time, and the people vote who lives.
I've heard the save Carmine or Carmine must die thing from Gears 3. I've heard people speculate that they'll do that. I think
it's the easiest and the safest thing to do.
I'm not a huge fan of that because, I mean, this is me being biased. I'm not a huge fan because I think saving JD would win. For the reasons that you guys gave of people don't want to do that to Marcus.
Yeah, making it very unfair vote.
But thinking about it from Kate's perspective is the thing I can't get over. It's it's not what do we want to happen, it's what should happen. And I don't know. I find it hard to believe that Kate would have chosen Dell. Or would have.
Are they just going to give it the Telltale treatment? Are they going to give it the Telltale treatment? And either way, the person dies. No matter what, that person is going to die.
Yeah, that's one of the things I thought of. Is this would make a lot of people mad. I think it's kill the other one either off screen between the games or kill the other one in the first few minutes of the next game. So it doesn't matter who your choice was. Yeah, they're both dead.
I'm going to bring up an example. Quick spoiler alert for The Walking Dead Season 2. Nick is a prime example. Nick can die in Episode 2, but if you save him, he does nothing for Episode 3 and 4, and in Episode 5 you just find him dead. That's it. You just find him dead. So are they just going to do that with Dell or JD? Just have them wind up dead? Or are they actually going to try and make a story?
Well, with Gear, I think it's more this is it, really. This is, in terms of story, TC have wrote a pretty good, solid story.
I like it.
This is make or break. In terms of, who's going to be dead in Gear 6, Dell or JD. To be honest, I think it's just going to be, one of them's going to be dead. Whoever it was you chose, say for example you chose JD, he's going to be dead. And that's the thing about war. It's not about what we're expecting in the game. That's the thing about war, is sacrifices are made. So we're just going to have to like it or lump it, to accept which one died in Gear 5. And that's going to progress the story forward in Gear 6.
Yeah. I think they made a mistake with having it be a choice. I don't know why they went with that.
They should have done it beforehand.
They
should have done it before the game. Is just vote on it. But yeah, that gets rid of the huge suspense.
They should have just picked someone and gone with it. If JD died, or if JD died or if Dell died, it wouldn't be the same as a Maria or a Dom moment. But it's, you have that big character that just died. It's an impactful death.
Yeah,
I feel it is more impactful this way, or it's not more impactful. It's discussed more the way they did it, and it got people talking because there's a choice. But it loses that impact because you don't know which one is the actual one. You don't know if JD really died or if Dell really died. I feel it loses impact because of the way they did it. And it makes their life harder going forward. You're going to make somebody mad in the future.
Yeah, I feel like they've backed themselves into a corner, because if they do what Grub Killer just typed, if if the other one dies off screen, once again, no point in voting. If they give people a vote, what was the point in the chance at the end? It's just like, how do they plan to get out of here unless they use resources they do not have and make two different campaigns? But at the end of the day, that's too much for TC to do.
Sorry to cut you off. Falcon in the chat, he just said that Anya died with no reason. In Gears 5, it's kind of brought up a little bit, so I'm thinking kind of leading towards her death.
Yeah, isn't it like Jin's like pregnancy or something? She gave.
The fertility.
It's complications giving birth, right?
Yeah, because she was, what's it called in barren? Is it barren? Or if a female's barren, so because Anya was barren, she couldn't have kids, but Jin did some voodoo magic or something. I don't know. I don't care about Jin enough to look into it.
Yeah, I mean, they had the fertility program where they were trying to help, because they needed to rebuild humanity. They wanted to help anyone who wanted a child, help them be able to have a child. I don't mind the Anya death thing, really. I am interested in knowing more about Anya's life leading up to that death, but at that point, like, her story from a gameplay perspective seemed like it was basically over. Dell and JD, on the other hand, were the characters that we've just played as for two games, and now they're killing one of them off screen would be kind of annoying, honestly.
Either way, someone's always going to be angry.
Yeah, I don't like the choice or the fact that they put a choice.
Now talking about it, and now that I'm thinking back on it, JD, they've tried to make JD Marcus. Mother's dead, and he's got problems with his father. He joined the COG, and he did something bad. Now the COG's angry at him. Then he gets brought back, promoted, and now leads a squad. It's just Marcus in a new generation. They've not made their own character and fleshed it out. They've given JD Marcus his personality and said, it's JD. But is it really JD?
Yeah. I also feel like, so they've talked in the past about how they have the characters as rather young, and they don't have too much backstory with them right now. And it's so that they can grow and develop these characters over time and give them backstories. Like, when we started playing Gears 1 and we met Dom and Marcus, they had personalities and backstories all fleshed out, but they were also much older in those games than JD and Kate and Del are.
Yeah, they were already war-torn.
Yeah, so I don't really think it's an issue that they lack some personality, but the point that you brought up is kind of interesting, that it's like they're trying to quickly force a story onto them it seems like they're just trying to copy Marcus's story.
Yeah, you could tell that Dom and Marcus, they had a backstory, they had relationships, they had a bond. Even with Marcus and Kim, they were at odds, but we were led on to the reason of Kim seeing Marcus as disgraceful. Anthony had relations with Kim, as Kim was his mentor. And then when we move on, we've got Marcus has bad connections with JD because boarding school? Is that it? Just, they hate each other because he got sent to boarding school?
Yeah.
That's a pretty bad reason.
I mean, I can imagine JD, like, as he was growing up, from a kid to, like, maybe his teenage years to what age he was in the life in Gears 4. Before that, he probably gave Marcus a lot of stick, like being the typical teenager. No offense to any teenagers in the chat, by the way, but just being that typical, teenage prick, and that's probably why Marcus sent him away to boarding school.
Yeah.
To like fucking maybe change his attitude, or to keep him away from the cog so they wouldn't avoid the same war that Marcus was involved in. Like
Yeah.
maybe something along those lines.
Yeah, Destroyer in chat just gave a very good point. The time skip. What was the point of a 25-year time skip if for no other reason than to say, hey, look, you've got hope in a new city. It's going to be destroyed in 5 minutes. Have fun with it.
Yeah,
They just killed Anya, and that's it.
they did the time skip because... So I find it kind of lazy that they went with Marcus's son. I get that they wanted to draw that connection to the original series, but I've always been a fan of, or an advocate of, create your own. Like they're trying to make their own new story. Don't keep holding on to the past. And like right now they have Baird, Cole, Marcus. It's all just holding on to the past, and they're using that in order to bring fans in. And I feel like that's almost holding them back from creating their own story.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna rip the band-aid off because everyone needs to hear it. One of them needs to die. There is no way that Trinity, all three of them, survive 3 wars. It's one of them has to die in this next game. Otherwise, it's not realistic. And I know people will be like, "Well, I can't believe TC decided to kill off Marcus or Bird or Cole." No, it's realistic. It's needed at the end of the day to show that not everyone's safe.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Marcus the Bird. I don't think Cole's gonna die.
I mean, it was solid and close, and what do you call it, Gears 5, obviously when that Kraken ripped apart Cole's machine and everybody thought he was dead, like, that's like the closest thing we saw to Coltrane death. So, I mean, anything can happen, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So what do you guys think is going to happen? That's kind of the last topic that I had listed here, and it's, where do you think things are going?
I think we're going in a direction as to where the new cog is. It's the exact same as Gears 3. Oh my god. The last hope's been destroyed, and now the cog have nowhere to go, and that's it. We're just going to be wandering around. The cog is now stranded again on the last limbs, fighting a very powerful threat.
Do you think that Gears 6 is going to be sort of that Gears 3 type moment where you have this new powerful threat and it wraps up this new story? Because I originally thought it was going to be a new trilogy type thing, and that's Gears 6 would be wrapping up this story.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining.
But with the ending and thinking about things, the
Swarm
Swarm is a pretty fresh enemy still. They totally could have just been using 4 and 5 as basically a setup, the origin of the Swarm, and now we're going to get 2 or 3 more games about the war that's growing and escalating.
Yes, as much as I would prefer it to just be another trilogy, I feel like the Swarm was not fleshed out enough, not dangerous enough. And now that we've seen them annihilate an entire just settlement, I feel now the trilogy should start. In the fact that the Swarm's now a threat, they're going to be taken seriously by all the cogs. By just even the UIR started taking it seriously before the cog did, and they're just a little tiny faction in Vascar.
Yeah, I almost picture it as a new trilogy starts now, and Gears 4 and 5 are a prequel to that trilogy.
Yeah, the bridge that links...
Gears 6, like, this is going to sound really, really weird, but think of it as, like, a cage match, right? Like, it's... Once that cage door shuts, that's when shit is going to go down. Like, it's a really weird way to put it, but Gear 6, it's go time. The gloves are coming off, pretty much.
Yeah, just go
for it. a lot's going to happen. In terms of will a new enemy surface, like, I feel like there has to be, because, like, I think anybody can back me up here. Like, the DBs are just so fucking boring, you know?
Yeah. Jumpers, was it you that said that
True.
earlier?
Well, and the
Yeah,
DBs
the
aren't even
DBs are so
really too
fucking...
much of an enemy anymore. I guess it's the rejects, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, even as allies, they're, like, again, they're just so fucking boring, you know? So, like, to help fight the swarm, there's got to be, like, another enemy, or to fight both sides, kind of like the Lambent did.
Well,
There's
yeah, I
got
was
to be
gonna
another.
say, do you think we need something else to help us fight the swarm, or if you look at Halo or Gears of War, a lot of them draw parallels to each other. It's you have the Covenant and the Flood are enemies of each other, but also enemies of humans. Gears, you had the Lambent and the Locust, enemies of each other, and also the enemy of humans. Are we gonna get that third faction that is an enemy of the swarm and an enemy of the humans?
I
We
feel like
sort of had
that's
that,
why the UIR was introduced.
but the
And
UIRs, well, I guess they are still out there and still kicking.
yeah.
What if
Like,
some Locust survived? Like,
that'd be...
far
Yeah,
off,
yeah,
you know?
from the research facility. From Niles. What
Some
if they
escaped,
escaped?
maybe.
Well, and you look at the Aphira Rising cover. They actually
Yeah.
have like standard Locust on the cover of that,
Ooh.
and I kind of wonder. It's like, okay, did some Locusts survive and they're just
I really, really hope so.
and they're
Yeah.
staying secret? Or the other thing is, anyone who's read the Gears books knows that there's flashbacks. Like you have your current story, and then
Yeah.
it flashes back to old stuff. So maybe they're
Oh, shit.
representing some old stuff. But
I hope they're secretly, like, rebuilding an army.
yeah, that would be. Part of me likes that idea, and then the other part of me is like, no, that's kind of lazy. Just saying, oh, they've been down there secretly building an army. We're bringing the Locust back.
Yeah.
Because I almost feel like, all right, yeah, Epic wraps up their story. The Locusts are dead. If you want to have them evolve and become the Swarm, sure, but don't just give a middle finger to Epic and be like, no, yeah, they're not really dead.
Yeah. So real quick, there's two things in chat. Destroyer, before he's just left, thanks for coming out as well. He voiced what Jumpers voiced earlier. The Swarm, they're just bad designs. They don't have anything to make them look interesting.
Yeah.
There's no variation, which is what Jumpers said earlier. The next one is Viking, who has said they need to do a Pendulum War game next, leading into E-Day. I would love that.
That was
I'm a
something
big fan.
that was originally in talks when Epic were still in charge, and this was something that I think it was before Judgment or before GO 3, I can't remember entirely, but there was talks of a Pendulum Wars type Gears game, and would fans want to see it? And obviously, fans would be interested in seeing that. Why it wasn't delivered though, it doesn't. I'm not really too.
I
I'm
don't
not
think
really
they ever
sure.
really made way on development for anything on that front. I know that they did have hesitation about having a game focused. So I guess you think back in that time frame, it was the complete package. You had the campaign, horde, and multiplayer. It wasn't just like a standalone campaign type thing. And they didn't want to release something that was human versus human. They were pretty against that in Judgment as well. And I know a lot of the leadership at Epic was very against human versus human. So I think that was a big reason that nothing ever happened back in the Epic days for it. And I think that's a big thing that I can't see there being a Pendulum Wars game that is like a full scale Gears game, but I could definitely
Agreed.
see a campaign only, not necessarily a campaign DLC.
Yeah.
Like it could be a full scale campaign, but just a standalone campaign thing that doesn't have multiplayer or horde with it.
I always imagined if we got a Pendulum Wars, it could be
Yeah, ODST.
The end of the Pendulum Wars.
Someone
I was
Yeah,
thinking of
it could.
ODST.
Yeah.
Cosmos has just made a good point in the chat. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Cosmos. Hope you're doing well, mate. That if they made it like Halo 3 ODST, just kind of like an add-on game.
Yeah.
In a way.
I think that would go over pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
just a
pretty solid
quick,
idea.
like, 5 chapters, not that, 3 chapters. You've got could bring in either the final chapter being E-Day, the first chapter being the mission, the brutality of human on human, or they could go completely different and showcase the death of Carlos Santiago.
Yeah, I mean, if they had Astro Fields as one of the things,
Yeah, and that
interesting.
could bring back Dominic for a little bit as well. That'd be cool. There's a lot of things they could do.
So, regardless of what we want from well, I guess it does include what we want from a story perspective. We know that there's going to be a Gear 6, and they're going to continue that story. Outside of that,
absolutely.
what do you expect us to see in the future? There's been talks of a BR, there's the Pendulum Wars thing, there's the Fenix Collection. Like, what do you guys think we're going to be seeing?
I don't think we'll see this, but it's definitely something I want. Not as a fully fledged game, but as an add-on, perhaps. The story of Clayton and his brother, D. Carmine, precisely. I want to see a lot of D. Carmine and Clayton team up in Gear 6, and I want to expand off that a little bit. You know, I want to see their thoughts on Lizzie's death, Anthony's death, Benjamin's death. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree with Jumpers. I want to see them reconcile. I want to see them reminisce about Benjamin or Anthony. Like,
Especially
remember
Lizzie,
how
though.
innocent they were.
So a Carmine themed campaign. That'd be interesting.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Maybe Gary's reasons to splitting off, going into the Outsiders. Maybe we get them. Maybe we get Clayton reading Benjamin's letter that you find in the worm after he's dead. There could be so many things that they could do and it would work. Just having the Carmines have their own little powwow. I like that name, Jumper. That's a good name.
Cosmos mentions who is the D Carmine. I strongly believe that if they name D Carmine, it needs to be Dietrich Carmine, which is the name of D Carmine in the Carmine Health Insurance video when they first introduced Torquebo Tag back as Gears 3 promotion.
Dude, I love that. It was so funny.
The D Carmine in that was Dietrich, and I think that's what they would need to go with. Let's keep that. Like Carmine Health Insurance, I think that's an actual thing in Judgment. There's a store for a health insurance place. If you can keep that, if you can keep that commercial as lore friendly as possible, that would be fantastic.
I'm a bit biased on Dan Carmine, but I wouldn't mind.
I know why you're biased on Dan Carmine.
Also, a bit of a backstory. I know you were saying about Gary Carmine and obviously him being a part of the Outsiders. I believe the backstory to that is, I think the COG kicked Gary out of the COG because of how mentally fucked up he is. The dude's banana.
The guy's insane.
He either had the choice, go solo and just do his own thing, and obviously that wouldn't have went too well, solo versus the Swarm. The numbers game eventually catches up. Or he could find another stranded camp or something, and at the time, I guess, he found Reyna and her band of survivors that ditched the COG.
I think he was stopping by.
Yeah, they just kind of brought him in. And in terms of D Carmine, I remember this being talks back in the day as well. They were originally going to call him Damien, but again, that's close to Damon Baird, which I think that's kind of the reason why it got sacked off. Which is also, if you guys didn't know as well, was General Ram. His first kill was actually a Carmine.
Yeah, Will
Wow.
Will,
Carmine.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was retired, I believe. So
Yeah, it was his last day. He was leaving the workplace, saying goodbye, and Rom appeared in the middle of the barracks and picked Will up by his head and decapitated him.
Fucking brutal.
yeah, rip. Yeah, rip.
Viking says he wants
Not
to see
good
a
one.
Gears RTS with all the different factions. I think
Oh,
so. That I doubt it would play too well on
that's
console.
Dizzy Carmine.
Dizzy Carmine. RTSs don't play very well on console. It could play well on PC. I don't know if I see that. Like, it would be cool, but I don't know if I see it happening. Just because, in order for it to be a financial success, it would
Yeah.
need to do really well, and that space already has a lot of big names in it.
Back to the
Yeah.
original topic of saying where we can go. You mentioned the Fenix Collection.
Yeah.
As much as I believe TC will eventually do it, I believe they will hold off as long as possible, because if you look at it from their point of view, if they give us Gears 2, 3, and Judgment remastered, if they give us what we want, why would we buy the newest game if we have our favorite games on our favorite maps remastered all in one game? Why would we waste money for a letdown by TC following Gears 4 and 5 instead of just staying on the Phoenix Collection?
Yeah.
Story.
I don't.
And this is something I touched on as well about if there was to be a Phoenix Collection. Like, obviously, Master Chief Collection, like, for a little while after launch and stuff, that still had a lot of problems. Still got problems now. It would be managing the game, and TC would need to do it right. You know, like, it's a big point I've made on Twitter. It needs to be done correctly, otherwise, it's a waste. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I would just, even if they only remastered the campaigns, that would make me more than happy.
I don't know. Like, yeah, they could remaster the campaign, but that probably take a lot of time and money to do, and then
Yeah.
I don't see how that's going to be a financial success for them, because people are going to go play the campaign and be like, oh, okay, that's a cool campaign. I guess maybe they'll continue on and then play Gears 4 and 5 and Gear 6 and stuff. But I feel like in order for it to be worth their while, it needs to have multiplayer and probably PvE in there as well. Minimum, it needs to have multiplayer, and there's a whole host of issues that come along when you do that.
Yeah, I heard one of my friends discussing this. He stated, why don't they make two Gears games? One is all the campaigns, all the versions of Horde, Beast Mode, and Escape. So it's completely PvE. It's got Beast Mode, Escape, Horde in Gears 2, Gears 3, and Gears 4/5. You can select which Horde you play, and it's got all 6? Yeah, all 6 campaigns. And then the next game would be completely multiplayer with every mode that has been made in the franchise, with every map. And as cool as that sounds, I don't think either of them would thrive.
Yeah, it's something I'd like to see. I just don't see it being financially successful. I think the two biggest things that they have to gain out of doing it. One is going back to the roots and showing a new generation of fans, like, hey, this is what Gears of War really is. And then the other thing is getting the original games out on PC to open up to that audience, as well as mod support for those games on PC.
Yeah.
I don't think the mod support thing is a huge deal for those original games. If Gear 6, for example, has mod support, and the whole thing about getting back and showing people the roots of like, hey, this is what Gears is, they could just, go back to the roots and stuff for Gear 6 as well. It does open up a new market for people who want to play those original games. But I don't know. I don't see it as likely. At least it's definitely not happening before Gear 6. Maybe there will be a long gap after Gear 6 or something.
Yeah, to agree with Neon in chat quickly, kids around now, 10 to 15, like kids now that are playing Gears, they have no idea what it used to be. Admittedly, I'm 17 now, but I was playing the original Gears 1 when it came out when I was 4, maybe 3. And comparing the two, I still prefer the old ones, because they were what made Gears of War.
And I've thought about that, and that's what made Gears of War for you, and that's what made it Gears of War for me. The people who are like the new people who've come in and have played Gears 4 and 5 and never experienced the original ones, what is Gears of War to them? Would they go back, like if a Fenix Collection came out and they went back and played Gears 1, Gears 2, Gears 3, would they think like, no, this isn't Gears, this is terrible?
Yeah, that's good actually, that's really good. What would happen?
Yeah, it's like we know what Gears is based on our experience, but it doesn't necessarily align with what some of the newer generation wants.
Yeah, would the roles be reversed? Like, say, I play Gears 1 through 3, and Jumpers played 4 and 5. I think 4 and 5 are terrible. Jumpers thinks 4 and 5 are good. If we got Phoenix Collection, I would think they were good, but would Jumpers think they were good, or would he think they were terrible? Like, just those two different mindsets.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good. That's a really good point to bring up.
Yeah, the Phoenix Collection, it could be successful. Like, a lot of Gears fans want it. And it could be very successful if they time it right and they put it out the right time and it's polished, and there's a lot of requirements for it to be successful. And I would like to see it at some point, not right now. And I just feel like there's better things they could do right now.
Yeah, that was the point I've always made, as well as the topic I'll address in a minute. I've always said that, like, I know a lot of people are fed up with Gears 5, and rightfully so. Fucking, I'm a huge Gears fan. Loved it since '08, love it even up till now. But even I can admit Gears 5 is shit, like straight up. But
yeah, I feel if they just listen to us more.
It's difficult. You gotta, because you ask 10 people in the community what they want, and they say 10 different things, right?
And that's something that I said as well. Like, I'm all for listening to the fans and things like that. I'm all for it. But there's just certain things that, did listen to them to, and it screwed up. River is a huge example. Okay. For years and years, people were banging on about, bring River back into Gears of War. And so they did that finally with Gears 5. And River is probably one of the most shit-talked maps. It kind of creates this balance where one part of us, we want the old games, and there's people that don't want, remasters. I've spoken to a couple of people, and they don't want it, and they make some interesting points about it. So when we balance it out, we're kind of fucked in a sense. It's like so divided, like on what we want. So like that's why I say Gear 6, that needs to happen before anything else, before a Fenix Collection, even if a Battle Royale comes out down the line. Year 6 has got to happen before both those games.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the topic I was going to discuss as well, I'm sure you've seen the rumours on Twitter about Gear 6 showing up at E3 in 2022. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that, but
No, I haven't seen that actually.
Apparently it's going to be announced at E3. It's just a rumour, I know.
Wait, you're saying it's going to be announced at E3 in 2022?
That's the rumor. That was what the.
Does that mean the game wouldn't launch until 2023? I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Which still kind of feels a little bit rushed. It needs to be about 2024
No,
at least.
They need to take the time with this.
So why do you think that feels rushed? I guess.
Kind of a mix of judgment and just not a lot of the decisions down to the studio being made and the correct decision. By rush, they've probably got the story panned out and things, but in terms of multiplayer and stuff, it could very well be fucking more rigged of problems than Gears 5, and bringing it out rushed and not fixed, to the point, again, it'll cause the same a lot of problems as Gears 5 had.
So I think a lot of the issues in Gears 5 was the direction that people at the studio wanted to take with the game. They made some design decisions, and we'll use the
E3 this year in the rumor, not next year.
Yeah, we'll use the Horde character thing, the class versus character thing as an example. That was a design decision they made. Didn't pan out too well, and they had to go fix it. Giving them more time wouldn't really have caused them to change their mind on that. I don't think. I think that was just a design decision. The thing more time would give them is, I guess they could get more stuff in the game, and people talk about, they'd have more time to polish it. I think the biggest issue there's two big issues with Gears 5, and one is that they made some design decisions that just ended up being the wrong choice, and then it's not that they didn't really have enough time to polish it, it's that I feel like they mismanaged their schedules. I don't have inside information, I can't really speak too much to this, but to me it seems like they put all this time focusing on all of these features, and they didn't plan for enough time to package it together into a solid game and give it the polish it deserves. So Gears 6 could be a 3 or 4 year game as long as they dedicate enough, they allocate enough time to properly package and polish it. It seems like they were rushed for that in Gears 5, but I don't feel that that's because they weren't given enough time. I feel it's because they mismanaged their schedules. At least that's how I view it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, quickly, just as the message has disappeared by Cosmo a couple minutes back, he said, let me just find it again. River does not play on Gears 5. The old maps, as much as we miss them, most of them, like River, will not work with Gears 4 and 5. Because on Gears 5, the boom shot is obviously a lot more powerful. And with it, you can shoot into the towers of the buildings to kill whoever picks up the long shot or the torque bar. Whereas in Gears 2, the splash damage from the boom shot was impossible to kill someone from that distance.
Yeah.
So to make the old maps work, they have to tune the weapons to the old tuning. And people don't want that. Because, let's be honest, the Gears 2 boom shot, it was basically just shot marshmallows.
The Gears 3 boom shot, despite the splash damage being a little bit weaker than Gears 5's. Splash damage was huge in Gears 3, but it's not anything like Gears 5's one. Fun fact, by the way, to the people that haven't found this out yet, I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Foundation, you can actually shoot the ceiling with a boom shot, active reload, and it can kill someone sitting in cover. So yeah,
You're joking.
Nah, dude. Me and a couple of friends.
Didn't they have flame grenades do that as well?
True, they may be regardless.
I think flame grenades could bleed through the floor as well.
Yeah, they fixed that. I remember that the flame and shock would drip off the ceiling because the grenades can explode in midair if they go too high. With Foundation, if you looped a shot grenade through the little building, it would explode in the sky, and if you were to stand under it, you would feel the effect of the shock. Same with a fire, or a smoke, or just a grenade in general. So they had to fix that.
Can you imagine if the ink grenade was brought back and it was used to those kind of exploits?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I love the old weapons and all that, but again, bring them back into these games. Like, that's another example of the community wanting things. I'm not taking a shot at you, community, so please don't get mad. But they want
we're going to crucify you now.
But they wanted old legacy weapons back, so they brought the Scorcher back. And to be honest, let's be real, the thing isn't as great as people thought it was.
I hate the Scorcher.
Yeah,
I love it.
I think it's worse than Gears 3.
I like it, yeah. Quickly, before the message disappeared, Admired Silence typed, I feel Gears 4 should have rolled until the new Xbox dropped, then make Gears 5 a release title along with the new Xbox. I partly agree with that. Gears 4 should have lasted longer than it should have, so that they could properly think things through, like the matching character and class in Escape and Horde.
To be fair, they were planning on releasing Halo Infinite with the new consoles. They wouldn't have wanted to release Gears then.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's see. We're going to wrap up here in a little bit, so people in the chat, if you have any questions you want to ask, go ahead and make sure you get those in. So while they're typing those in, did you guys have any other things you wanted to bring up while we wait for any questions?
A what if that I thought about. What if it was Benjamin who survived? Clayton and Anthony are dead. Would he still be innocent, scared little boy, or would he flourish into what Clayton was, war-torn, strong, and emotionless?
Not exactly like Clayton, but he would have developed a bit into a soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is kind of directed at Jumpers because I think he knows the commands best.
I think Ben would have some charm to him still. I don't think he would fully turn into a person like Clayton, but he'd have a lot of revenge in him.
Yeah.
That's my theory on it.
I'm just trying to
I think Ben would definitely be a lot more angry.
I'm trying to think of all the events of Gears 2. Like, if Ben went through all of those events that we see in Gears 2 as a rookie.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clayton's iconic line. Jeez Louise, what the fuck? I love that line. Such a good line.
Cosmo says, I would have preferred the breach shot from Judgment back. Like, as much as I love the breach shot in Gears Judgment, again, and also Falcon said that breach shot is a good weapon, we want it back. Again, I'm not against it, but with the way the M-bar was redesigned, like, you can tell the M-bar headshot registry is dog shit.
It's awful.
The M-bar is the new breach shot, basically.
I hate the M-bar.
Yeah. The breach shot is amazing. Like, The breach shot was
if it was
fantastic. It was
brought
my
back,
favorite weapon in Judgment, basically.
I loved it.
But I don't see it coming back with the M-bar in there.
I don't either. But if it did make some kind of comeback, would it have the same problem as the M bar, like the headshot registry being off on certain characters,
Yeah,
certain
because
hitboxes, things like that? That's the things that people need to
Shall we
take into consideration, as well as wanting these old weapons back.
In
You need to.
Gears 4, the M-bar was insane. Like, you could headshot people so easily with
Yeah,
it.
I played Gears 4 on stream about 2 weeks ago, and I picked up the M bar once. The first shot I hit a super across the map. It connected beautifully, and I thought I'm going to experiment the exact same shot on Gears 5, and it did not register. It went through the person, and it did no damage. So I don't know
And that's
how
the
they
thing.
messed it up so badly.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm worried about with if they bring back older weapons. Again, they would need to be like the registry would need to be redesigned and all that stuff. It can't be
Yeah.
the same as the old games, I'm pretty sure, because it runs on a different engine. So
It's like, I see
uh,
there's been talk of bringing back the Gorgon pistol, but we have the Talon. There's not really any need for the Gorgon, I guess. I did like the Gorgon, but there's not really any need. The one-shot mortar and I guess
Bushka.
just the Bushka. The Bushka was cool. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Um,
What about? Oh, here we
digger.
go. Quickly, sorry. Yeah, the digger.
I was just about to bring that one up, and then I saw someone put that in the chat.
Yeah, admired.
I love the digger. That was probably my favorite weapon in Gears 3, especially the direct impacts with the digger. If you think about the digger is different than the drop shot, but the drop shot basically plays or fills that role, right? Like the drop shot is that weapon that gets people out of cover.
I would love a map that had the drop shot and the digger, so you'd have to be watching the sky and the floor. So like you couldn't hide anywhere. If you're indoors, the digger could get you. If you're outdoors, the drop shot could get you. It'd be a very risky map, but it would also pay off well if you knew how to dodge these weapons.
Yeah.
Can I touch back on the lore a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
So, a couple of months ago, I was doing a voice line video, and we was using some weapons like the drop shot, and it turns out that Gary and Lizzie acknowledge that the weapons are made by a member of the Carmine family. So
that's awesome.
So it seems like D. Carmine is the founder of a Carmine construction company. So,
But why do you think it's D. Carmine?
Because Clayton's fighting right now, and Lizzie has some mechanical expertise, so she might.
Gary's an outsider, so he's definitely not a creator.
I guess why does it have to be D. Carmine?
Why
not?
Mainly because we all know that D is confirmed to be still alive, or at least I think he is, because Lizzie's here. Maybe it isn't another member of the Carmine family that we don't know of yet, but right now it all links to D. Carmine.
Yeah.
But
I have no idea they acknowledge that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know that they acknowledged that. I knew it was the Carmine Construction Company. But...
You best believe I'm about to go shoot the drop shot as Lizzie and Gary in Gears 5.
Someone mentioned the Judgment Marxa. Honestly,
yes, fucking.
I don't think
it was a lot different. Yeah, it was a lot different compared to Gears 4 and 5.
The fact that you didn't have DB&O in Judgment is what made the Marxa work. I don't see.
If we got the Gears 4 design, the 2 shot in the head, 3 shot in the body, I think that worked perfect. But this 3 or 4 in the heads and a full clip in the body, it's not effective, and it just makes a burner weapon.
Yeah. Again, the only reason the Marxa's kind of shitty in Gears 5 is mainly what you remember when Operation 1 was around, the Mark was kind of a little bit OP and it was more accurate and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Well, later down the line, when they changed it, they put a lot more recoil onto it, so it's harder to use, and that's why people don't like it so much, because it's harder to use. So, like, as well, not counting the fact that there's aim assist in the game, like, there still is, but, or magnetism, sorry, wrong word. But the Mark VII, because it has so much recoil on it now, it's more complicated to use, and as well as that, of the weapon balance, it's just, it kind of makes it to be a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. It's just
Carmine Revenge, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well, mate. It's been a wee while. I've not seen you around on Twitter. Be sure to say hello if you're still on it.
I didn't play RP1. I'm not gonna lie. The tech test of Gears 5 was the best version of Gears 5 we will ever get. I cannot remember one thing bad about the tech test. I enjoyed the tech test. I enjoyed the movement, the weapon tunings, the diverse power of its weapons. I really, really liked it.
Yeah, the tech test was fantastic. The only thing I think that was better was the Nasher and Operation 2 with like the
Yes.
closer whip range and things like that. Like, why they didn't stick with that, like, obviously I know because a lot of the community didn't like it. But if they'd stuck with that, I feel like, things would have been a lot different. Nasher wouldn't have needed to be changed about a million times. But yeah. Apart from that, yeah, I agree. The tech test was pretty fucking solid.
Yeah. Can I quickly just touch up on Gears of War Judgment?
Yeah.
Okay, so Falcon in chat, street map in Judgment was not bad. Personally, I loved Judgment. I did not understand the hate towards it. I enjoyed playing the game, and it was a good game. It had a fantastic campaign with fantastic character development and backstory. The multiplayer was definitely lacking with the Locust, but the weapons in it, they were the best adaptations of the weapons we've got. The shotgun was consistent and damaging. The breach shot and the long shot were consistent and rewarding. And the only reason Judgment failed was the different controlling, like why to swap weapons, and no Locust, just red versus blue.
And also, and there's the lack of DBNO.
Yeah.
And verticality a little bit. I think Judgment was a great game if you took it for what it was. It's not a great traditional Gears game.
Yes, that is what I always say.
Yeah, it's not a great traditional Gears game, but it was great for what it was. And it did bring some wonderful things along, like Free For All and Overrun, some class-based defense things. Like it brought a lot of good, and as you mentioned, the weapon and the tuning was fantastic. Like Overrun or Judgment was a good game. It just wasn't a good traditional Gears game.
Yeah.
Yeah, in game style, it was a very good game. In class of Gears of War, it was a very bad game.
Yeah, pretty much. And to be honest, I see Carmine's Revenge saying people judged launch of Gears 5 gameplay too early because it was drastic to change to the faster 4. I can kind of get behind that. The only thing I think we can all agree on was, excuse me, fucking throat's getting a bit dodgy, was the speed boosts. Like, there was just no need for the fucking speed boosts whatsoever. Yeah. I don't really understand what the mindset and the concept was behind that. Why anybody thought it was a good idea to put in speed boost, like going around covers and things like that. It's just, that's not what it's just not good, you know.
Agreed.
And Falcon says Paddock. He likes Paddock. And
I love Paddock.
Paddock is fucking badass. It's my second favorite. He's like gone so high up in my favorite Gears characters, like sitting at number 2 for me right now.
Yeah, a quick question to all three of you. Who is your favorite COG character? Well, not human character, Locust character, and overall character. That's a question.
I've got this one figured out easy.
Okay, go on, Plasma.
So my favorite all-time COG character would be Baird, just because I grew up loving Baird's fucking personalities, funny jokes, all that shit.
Yep.
My favorite Locust would be Scourge, just because when I first set Scourge back in GO2, I was like, dude, like ain't nobody
He was the man.
And favorite overall character, Kate has become a really solid favorite of mine, as I've blabbered on about on Twitter for like the past few years. But yeah, it's mine.
All right. Thank you, Plasma. We'll move on to Chaps. Who do you have for your 3 nominations?
So I've had Kim as, like, I don't really care about him as a character that much. I don't know why. I've played as Kim in multiplayer for a while now.
I always play Kim.
Thinking about them, like their personalities and as characters, I kind of have to go with Baird, just because I see a lot of myself in Baird. So I'd probably have to go with Baird there. And then on the Locust side, again, it's hard to really do a personality type thing on the Locust side, especially being I haven't read the comics, so like the Locust interactions aren't really anything that I've seen. But so I'd probably go with Scourge. He's just one of the characters I thought have looked the best. And I mean, come on, overall, like best character. Look at my logo. I mean, come on. You know who my favorite character is.
I know.
It's my stranded boy Chaps there, who
I love Chaps, man.
Still hasn't been playable in any of the games because for some
reason... I'm gonna riot if we don't get Chaps.
Dude, I don't even care about it being Chaps. Like Hanley, Franklin, any of the stranded. There's no stranded characters. Yeah, you have Griffin.
Even if it's just generic dickhead number 1.
Yeah. But like,
just give us something.
Especially Hanley. Yeah. Some of the dialogue in the lines that they could have for him would be fantastic.
Oh, it would be perfect.
Yeah.
And finally, Jumpers. Who do you have for your 3 nominations?
Well, ever since as a kid, I really liked armored people. I thought they were really cool, and mixed in with that, some really nice little innocent personality. Got to be Benjamin Carmine, of course.
Yeah.
For the Locust side, this may come to a surprise. I'm gonna say Jamad. He's like that cool Locust sniper sidekick to Ram. I love his design. Yeah, he's so cool.
Jamad is a beast.
Yeah, definitely. I have a theory that he founded the Locust Cyclops unit. Anyways, for overall character, this is actually a recent decision of mine. Paired with Parasidian's awesome skin designs, it's got to be Clayton Carmine.
Ooh.
I love his whole I just love his whole persona.
Yeah. His Hivebuster and Hollowstorm variants are
they're perfect.
People can say what they like about Gears 5, but some of the armor designs, like Hivebuster Clayton, when he's got Anthony and Benjamin's cog tags dangling.
Yeah, Major Paddock. That's a good one.
Yeah, the details that Sid's been able to promote for having on those characters has been amazing, and it's a shame that he's not there to keep promoting those. He used to be on this stream when I did it back in the day before he started working at the is like before he worked at the Coalition, he used to be a regular on here. I really wanted to get him on for some lore discussion for this, but he'd be very limited in what he can say, being he worked at the studio, and
Yeah.
it it wouldn't really be worth having him on because of how limited he would be. But yeah, he's a great guy, and the details that he's added, like you mentioned, the Clayton stuff is amazing.
Phenomenal, even.
Yeah.
All
So
right,
my 3 nominations, I would have.
Let's hear what you got.
I would easily have for my cog. It has to be Benjamin. I love his innocent persona, his quirky remarks. His death was so well done. I love his armor. I just love him in general. My favorite Locust, which may come as a surprise, is also Jermad.
Yes, go.
I love Jermad. I love his helmet. I love that he was the original Theron. He trained the Therons and the Palace Guards. He fought by Rom. He was just an overall badass person to have on your team. And the overall favorite character, is a very, very hard choice. But ultimately, I do need to give it to Kim. I loved his personality, his care, his determination, his power to help people in Ram Shadow and Gears 1. I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ram Shadow was a phenomenal DLC.
It was
fantastic.
Nobody can take that away. Even the Hive Buster DLC,
I love
that
Hive
was
Busters.
really well done. I love the Hive Buster DLC.
Yes, I love to see the Jermad love in chat. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Also, character I'd love to see back in Gears 5, Alex Brand. Enough said.
Oh, yes, please. I loved her lines.
She was good.
Oops, your head's gone. It's great.
So on that note, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. We'll go around the room one last time. Give whatever closing comments you have, and then you can let people know where to find you online. When this goes up live on YouTube, either this evening or tomorrow, I'll have all of your links down below. But you can let people know where to find you and whatever your closing comments are. Brandy, we'll start with you and go around the room again.
Okay. Well, I would like to say thank you everyone in chat for showing up. I've had a lovely time. Thank you for the invite, chaps. I've had so much fun, a lot more than I thought I would. And you can find me on Twitch and Twitter by my tag King Brandy. I'm also on YouTube, but the only thing that goes up on YouTube is montages that I create or make for other people. Thank you.
Yep. Plasma?
Okie dokes. In terms of where to find me, look me up on Twitter at RG_Plasma. Thank you, Chaps, Brandy, and Jumper for having me on board. It's been an absolute fucking honor, gentlemen. And to everybody in the chat, thank you for stopping in. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your opinions, all that stuff. This is what this is what I'm sure Chaps, Brandy, Jumper, this is what we live for, like Gears of War. This is what makes Gears of War, not this one-sided bollocks, It's all of us expressing the game, what we feel about it, what can be done better, what's to come in the future, all this type of stuff,
Yep.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Rush. Much love, homie.
Alright, Jumpers, what about you?
First of all, I want to say big shout out to my boy Rush TW. Hello. And in terms of where to find me, I'm just Jumpers XI on YouTube.
Alrighty. Well, thanks to you panelists for coming on. We had some great discussion today. It's not often we get a chance to talk about lore. And not only did we get to talk about lore, but I got to meet you guys a little bit, you people that I haven't really talked to much. Thanks to the chat for
Absolute
showing
pleasure.
up. Yeah, this has been great. So just want to say thank you to everyone, and we'll see you all later.
Goodbye.
Doodles.